where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio.
Every day you're going and working, running that rat race and that pace and that place will leave a bad taste for anyone, everyone working day after day. So buddy, I gotta say, yo, there's gotta be a better way, yeah. And you do what they told ya, company man, feel it, a mindless little soldier. How can you live like that and maintain your composure before it's begun? Your life's already freaking over. Yeah, I do what I want, when I want, how I want, yeah.
So, if you take a good hard look at people making waves in the world of politics at the moment, the 2016 presidential hopefuls, you see something very interesting. You see a bunch of candidates that could only be described by the standards of past elections as being utter wild cards. I mean, look at the Republican frontrunners. Trump's still out in the lead, followed by Ben Carson. I think Carly Fiorina is still in at number 3. Do we know where Fiorina is at the moment? Funkhauser, is she?
Oh man, I have not been
3?
keeping track late this week.
Well,
Nope.
So I mean, the front runners. The front runners have one very important thing in common. Not politicians. The dead cert for this situation. Like, okay, well, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, but when it comes down to it, we'll probably wind up electing Jeb Bush. Nowhere to be seen. Campaign running out of money, trailing far behind, enlisting the help of his brother and trying to help him get elected and whittle down the Republican field so he can clinch the nomination. He had his brother, George W., come out and say, about Ted Cruz, just don't like the guy. Just don't like the guy. Had him go after him in that way. Potato, potato, whatever. But the main thing to note is, look at the front runners. Trump, Carson, Fiorina. What do these folks have in common? What they have in common is they're not politicians. They're not career politicians. Donald Trump, for all his ridiculousness, has this thing of transparency where he's shutting down political donations from anyone else. He's like, I'm going to be funding my own campaign. Thanks very much. Why? Because it's wrong for a politician to be in the pocket of special interest groups. I have owned every single candidate on this podium with me. This is something he said during the debates. I've owned them all. They've done exactly what I tell them to do because I've given money to their campaigns. And that's not right. And politics shouldn't work that way. So Trump has this, non-politician air of transparency about him. And then he's followed up by Dr. Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon, and Carly Fiorina, former computer CEO. What does this tell you? Well, hold on. Let's take a look at what's going on the left. Look, obviously, Hill Dog is up in the game. There's no getting around that. But Bernie Sanders, a guy in his mid-70s who out and out says over and over again that he's a socialist. Democratic socialism. This combination of people is very unlikely and crazy. And what does it tell you about the state of America at the moment? We'll get into that next.
iHeartRadio puts the spotlight on Creedence Clearwater Revival. Late in 1970, number 5 album, Pendulum, was released, the only Creedence album without any cover songs. During recording, Tom Fogerty quit when John took greater control over the band, and the rest continued as a trio. Despite the turmoil, Have You Ever Seen the Rain peaked at number 8. Tensions between the remaining 3 members continued to grow, and CCR disbanded after releasing 1972's Mardi Gras. The Fogerty brothers each went on to solo careers, while Cook and Clifford worked together in the Don Harrison Band before forming Creedence Clearwater Revisited in 1995. Tom Fogerty passed away in 1990. Creedence Clearwater Revival has sold 26 million albums in the United States alone and was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993. All things Creedence Clearwater Revival, info, music, and more are on iHeartRadio, keyword Creedence Clearwater Revival.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Bob Seger. to discuss his favorite process for developing new songs.
The way I do it, I sing into an ADAT machine, which has about 40 minutes. I might fill up 2 or 3 of them. Then I just go away, come back the next day, and listen to what I did. If there's nothing there, I start again. But I might hear one chord change. I might hear one thing I mumbled lyrically and say, oh, I never even caught that when I did it. You know, it's like you're just totally a free-form thing, almost a jazz thing. And sooner or later, you know, a structure, a chord structure, or a phrase, or the way I sang something jumps out at me and it becomes the germ for a song, you know? And that's really fun.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Bob Seger and all your favorite artists.
Real Radio. Real Radio. 104.1.
Like most kids from a privileged white upper-middle-class suburban background, for a significant portion of his childhood, he was pretty convinced he was down. AD on the radio.
Yeah, oh, let's go. Talking that mess, better act like you know. Oh, let's go tonight. Walk away, punk, yeah, bitch. That's right, I know this. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. You're nothing but a punk, bitch. So walk away, yeah, yeah. You've been talking about me for a long time, but you're too scared to say what's on your mind. You've been talking about me for a long time, but you're too scared to say what's on your mind.
So, as we were saying before we got to the break, interesting times when you look at the potential presidential field of candidates going at the moment. You got, on the right, Donald Trump, Ben Carson, Carly Fiorina. They are way out in front, smacking the living bejesus out of career politicians. And that's the thing about them. They're not career politicians. You have a real estate mogul, you have a neurosurgeon, and you have a computer company CEO. And on the left, look, Hill Dog's in it. That's the Democratic dynasty that we're facing down. Hill Dog is up in it. But also Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders, who, look, by American political standards, is nothing short of a radical. He keeps trumpeting on and on about the idea of democratic socialism. And the fact that he's saying the word socialism as part of an American presidential campaign and has supporters is kind of unprecedented. Now, we're not going to get into his definition of democratic socialism, just because that's not the point. The point is, we've come to a point in America where you can say, I'm going to be running for president of the United States of America, and I'm going to use the word socialism over and over again in my campaign. Socialism, socialism, democratic socialism, socialist, socialism. This is not a word that has been friendly to political candidates in America, ever, I don't think. And the fact that he's in it, using what could only be regarded as a word that would have just tanked campaigns in the past, socialism, says to me that we in America have kind of had it. Not kind of had it. We absolutely have had it. Look at these front runners, people that aren't politicians, because we're sick of politicians. We think it's a broken system. We're over it. We're done with it. And then a radical socialist on the other side who is doing rather well. And it says to me that we as a nation are looking to our politicians, are looking to this next election, are looking to pull in the lever for democracy in 2016 to change things for us. We've had it up to here, and we want some kind of change. Now, this is the dangerous part. The dangerous part is we're so fed to the back teeth with what's going on at the moment that we are looking for people outside ourselves to be the cause of this change and affect this change in our lives. Socialism is an attractive prospect to people that have given up hope. Socialism is an attractive prospect to people that don't see a way out for themselves. Socialism is an attractive prospect to people that, for whatever reason, have come to a point in their life where they're unwilling to attempt to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps and want somebody else to do it for them. Now, I don't want this to be construed as an endorsement or chastisement of any particular candidate. That's not the point. The point is that we're looking at people outside ourselves to affect our lives on a daily basis. I've said it before on this show. I will say it again. We'll say it over and over again. If you are looking for a politician or anyone but yourself to cause change in your life, if you're looking for the person you vote for to make your life different when you wake up in the morning and start going through the day, you are on a one-way trip to a town called Disappointmentville. Population U. You are the captain of your ship. You are the person that's going to make changes in your life. You are the person that's going to affect the quality of your day. When you wake up in the morning, you make a decision every single day. How is your day going to go? When you wake up, it's only you that has any power in your own life. Only you that has any influence over how your day goes. There's external factors that can contribute to your sadness or happiness or success or lack thereof or whatever we want to call it. Look, you're not an island. We live in a society. We live in a world that involves other people. But you are the person that is going to win or lose today. You are the person that is going to succeed or fail today. And you are the person who has your future in your own hands. It's not down to a politician. It's not down to who you're going to vote for. It is down to you. And no amount of hope or change that is promised by anyone in this situation will lead to anything. Your future is whatever you make it, so make it a good one. Doc Brown, Back to the Future. Alrighty then. Today in the show, we are joined by our former intern, Concept 714, host of the number one podcast, for the number one hip hop podcast in the world. He has gone off into the world to do some great things and is back on the show. Concept 714, welcome back. How you doing? How you feeling? How's everything going?
Everything is great. How are you doing?
Better now that you are here again.
I can see why. I don't blame you. How
are things going with Wake the Flock Up, the number one hip-hop podcast in the world?
They're going great. We're voted the number one hip-hop podcast on Mars as well recently. So, no, everything's fantastic. Our fans are fantastic. They always support us, and we got some surprises coming up that I got to tell you about. Yeah, I'm excited.
But you got to keep them a surprise right now.
Exactly. We'll talk about it. We'll get into it.
Okay, cool. Well, right now, shall we, for old time's sake, shall we have Concept 714 read the news, Funkhauser?
Well, yeah, because I'm still a little...
Nostalgia.
Still a little sneezy. So.
Am I going to get time breaks still?
Nope.
You still going to tell me the times?
Not anymore.
No?
Not on the network show.
Okay.
The time is whatever the time says on your radio there.
You know what's interesting? I think last time Concept 714 was on the show, was it before we were on the air in Florida?
Just before.
Yeah.
Just before.
What wasn't there?
He was
one
in the best
last...
ofs the first.
He was.
week.
Yeah, he was in the best of. So you've been on the air on Real Radio 104.1 in Orlando, Florida. But it was like a month ago when people were going, "What's an AD and how can we get it off our radio station?"
Congratulations on that, man.
Thank you very much.
It's gonna be awesome.
It has its moments for sure. No, we've actually picked up some really cool listeners and followers from the affiliate that is Real Radio 104.1 in Orlando. We're super stoked to be there, and it's been a great addition to our daily life to be on there. So, for those that aren't familiar with him, because you didn't hear the very first time we were on the air. Enjoy Concept 714's reading of the news. He does it like no one else. Concept 714.
It is majestic.
What?
It is majestic.
It is majestic. What's going on in the world?
Oh, well, Harrison Ford crashed a wedding in Malibu.
Yeah. Crashed a wedding in Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
How would you feel about that if Harrison Ford, Han Solo, rolled through an event that you were attending? Now, like a lot of people kind of go out on a limb and assume that, like, oh, wow, hey, wasn't this cool? Harrison Ford showed up at our wedding. But on the other hand, do you want people to crash your wedding? Doesn't matter who they are. This is like your day. And it's just like, hey, wait a second. Shouldn't we have one more piece of cake? Han Solo. How would you feel if Harrison Ford crashed one of your events?
I
like
would
a wedding
be
that you went
stoked, to be honest with you, no? I mean, it's a legend here. It's a Hollywood legend. Just decided, well, I don't know if he crashed my wedding, but, I think it'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool. I mean, when you think about it, most weddings, most weddings. Nobody from Star Wars crashes most weddings.
Right.
Usually the mother-in-law resembles Jabba the Hutt, but nobody from Star Wars actually crashes the wedding.
I'd say maybe only 17% of weddings, of all weddings, get crashed by a Star Wars characters, So,
go on.
AD, friends
Yes.
say that Khloe Kardashian never stopped loving Lamar Odom.
Never stop loving you.
Yeah. She never stopped loving Lamar Odom. You sure she didn't mean attention?
Yeah.
It's like, now he's back in the headlines. I'm back at his bedside
I
immediately.
said I never stopped loving you. I said I never.
Well, I mean, that's proven by the fact that she actually took her camera crew the first time she went to go see him in the hospital.
Yeah.
So that right there speaks of how much she truly loved him. I think you could...
Yeah.
I never stopped loving the attention money.
Apparently, they're going to stay together now. The divorce is off, and she said, what'd she say? The divorce is off, and the only proviso for their marriage is if he ever does drugs again, she's gone. That's the idea.
Right. Until, another photo op. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I guess.
I get it. I understand. You got to read between the line with these people, AD.
I guess so. I guess I'm just, you know what? I'm too simple of a person. I expect people to mean what they say and do what they say they're going to do, and well, that leads to a lot of disappointment.
Well, yeah, you're a decent human being with a soul, so you can't relate too much to her, but
yeah, we don't have that. Yeah, being a decent human being with a soul, it makes it hard for the vast majority of us to relate to Kardashians.
Exactly.
Oh man, have you ever Concept and Funkhauser? And me.
Yes.
I don't think we're all that smart. I honestly don't.
Hey.
How dare you?
No. Hold one second.
Okay, all right.
But I think we're some of the smartest people out there. I don't think that we're geniuses. I don't think that we have seats reserved for us at the Algonquin Round Table or anything like that. But I think that the three of us are some of the smartest people I know, and that's scary to me. I think we're kind of like dumbasses, but the curve of decent human beingness and vague levels of intelligence are just I don't know. It scares me that we're the smartest people I know.
We're in trouble if that's true.
Yeah. I do find the listeners to this show 9 times out of 10 they're way smarter than us when they write thoughtful contributions to us or blow me up on Twitter or something like that. They usually have something very good and very erudite to say. And I was just like, when I get these letters from or these tweets from people that really know what they're talking about that listen to the show, I'm like, oh crap. We're a mouthpiece for a bunch of people that are actually smart. This is it. We are the gold standard for smart in this type of radio. Anything that's vaguely laughy or jokey or, slap ass or fun times. We are we're a stupid show for smart people. And the fact that our listeners are as smart as they are kind of intimidates me when I hear from them on a regular basis, because I'm like, oh, God, we got to stand for these people that actually are smart. And it's an intimidating prospect, to be sure. But, as long as the sliding scale of smartness and decency is represented by the Kardashians, that'll allow us to feel good about ourselves on a regular basis. So we soldier on.
Yeah. It balances things out. Definitely. You know what else needs some balancing? Katy Perry turned 31 yesterday.
Ooh, I'd like to help her balance.
That,
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Talk about tipping the scales.
Or scaling her tips.
Oh.
Hold on. Thinking about something for a second.
Me too. Hold on.
Okay.
All right.
So how old is Katy Perry now?
20, double D 20. Wait, 31.
31.
Yeah.
31.
Oh, that 31. That makes her even hotter.
It does, doesn't it?
Just the fact that she's an adult. You look at the pieces of TNA that are floating around the interwebs in the world of celebrity and all of the above. And how old are the little junior celebrity skanks, the large bootied celebrity skank related to Kim Kardashian, the one that trade in their heads every 6 months?
18, 19.
18?
The children.
Yeah, it's the children. And that's not attractive. I want no part of that. I don't find, it's just not okay. Even Kate Upton. How old's Kate Upton? Isn't she remarkably young?
She's 23.
No. Yeah, 24. She's 23. When I think about myself at age 23, God. Oh God!
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't feel bad kind of pleasuring myself to Katy Perry now. You're absolutely right.
Well, there's a mental image I won't be able to get out of my head. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. Quick, think of Katy Perry. Oh, no, I can't think of Katy Perry without seeing Concept 714.
I did not mean to ruin your main Spank Bank contributor.
Oh, Katy Perry turned 31 yesterday. The fact that she's an adult makes it even better. Because you know what you don't hear from your average 31-year-old, Concept and Funkhauser? You know what the average 31-year-old female doesn't say?
What?
You can't put that there.
Days like this when I feel untouchable, I try and make up for all the wrongs I did by living my life like a Cosby kid, jamming on the one like Theo and Stevie. I know it sounds crazy, but you gotta.
This is USA Headline News. I'm Melody Burkett. A new national poll shows Ben Carson leading Donald Trump in the race for the Republican presidential nomination. The latest CBS News New York Times poll has Carson leading Trump 26-22% nationally. The retired neurosurgeon support is 4 times what it was in August. Florida Senator Marco Rubio is third with 8%, while former Florida Governor Jeb Bush and former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina are tied for 4th at 7% each. Meanwhile, Donald Trump is picking up the endorsement of a heavy hitter. Former boxing champ Mike Tyson says he's in the billionaire real estate mogul's corner.
He should be president of the United States. That's what he should be.
In an interview with HuffPost Live, Tyson says we as a nation gave Obama a chance and now it's time for a change. As for Trump's controversial comments on immigration, Tyson admitted he said some really crude things. In his defense, however, he said Trump's just an average guy who needs someone to work with him on his message delivery. You're listening to the USA Headline News. I'm Melody Burkett.
The more you learn about your insurance coverage, the more gaps you might find. Like how you thought you had enough coverage for your fine art.
You broke my Quinault lioness sculpture.
When you aren't even covered for your not-so-fine art.
You broke my Mr. Banana lamp.
Or how you're probably covered for hitting this car, but maybe not covered for hitting this car. Talk to a farmer's agent about what gaps might be hiding in your insurance.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Did you know the government is scheming to seize your retirement and bank accounts? Hi, David Fisher, CEO of Landmark Capital Gold Group. Get the facts in a white paper called How to Protect Your Retirement and Bank Accounts from Government Seizure. Transfer your 401k or IRA into physical gold and silver and take possession with no tax liability. Call Landmark Capital at 844-715-9411. That's 844-715-9411 or landmarkgold.com.
Week 7 in the NFL came to a close on Monday night in Arizona. The Cardinals held off the Ravens for a 26-18 victory. Arizona quarterback Carson Palmer had 2 touchdown passes in the win, and running back Chris Johnson went for 122 yards and 1 score. Palmer afterwards talked about Johnson.
He's still got it, I'll tell you that. That defense notices it. Every defense that we line up knows when he's in the backfield and when he's not. For a while, he was one of the most dominant players in the NFL, and he can still dominate a game like he did today.
In college football, number 2 Baylor lost its starting quarterback Seth Russell for the rest of the season following neck surgery. In baseball, veteran outfielder Torrey Hunter announced his retirement. He played 19 seasons with the Twins, Angels, and Tigers, won 9 Gold Gloves, and was a 5-time All-Star. In the NHL, it was a rematch of last year's Western Conference Final. The Blackhawks beat the Ducks 1-0 in overtime on a Jonathan Taves goal. The Ducks continue to struggle now 1-5-2 on the season. I'm Eddie Garcia.
We are Fox Sports.
iHeartRadio puts the spotlight on Aerosmith. Aerosmith was formed in 1970 when Steven Tyler's Chain Reaction and Joe Perry, Tom Hamilton, and Joey Kramer's jam band merged. Tyler insisted that he be the frontman of the new group after playing drums and singing backup in Chain Reaction. The band moved into a house together in Boston where they wrote and rehearsed their music. They picked their name when Kramer talked about how he would scribble that word over his notebooks, inspired by Harry Nilsson's album Aerial Ballet.
Everybody's talking at me.
Aerosmith was chosen over the Hookers and Spike Jones, and they played their first gig at a high school in November 1970. Brad Whitford was added as a rhythm guitarist in 1971, and the group's primary lineup was set. Aerosmith continued to play club gigs until 1972, when they were discovered and signed to a record deal. In 1975, Toys in the Attic dropped and made them international stars with hit singles Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way. things Aerosmith, info, music, and more are on iHeartRadio, keyword Aerosmith.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Mike Rutherford to discuss that even though there were generational difficulties, his father was always quite supportive.
You know, you've got to understand, I'm sure it's the same over here, but in the UK, in England, you know, that generational change from my father's era to my era, you know, he was the English Empire days, 2 world wars. It was hard to communicate. There was a big divide between us. It's just there was no dialogue, really. You couldn't discuss things because there was no sort of platform to share conversations on. But no, he was supportive, and in a way, you know, given that he hadn't got a clue what I was doing, you know, what parent did in those days, you know, music, long hair and a guitar, he was given that. He was very supportive.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Mike Rutherford and all your favorite artists.
Real Radio 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me. Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD again. Nobody rock a party better than me.
So, Donald Trump had some humble beginnings, and you know what's interesting? Donald Trump. I want to remove the laughter from my voice when I talk about this. Donald Trump has been doing some stuff recently to kind of humanize himself to voters, and he's talked about his hardest times, which are the death of his brother. I think was the big one for him, and he's been talking about that. He's also been talking about what he sees as being very, very humble beginnings. Now, his version of humble beginnings and my version of humble beginnings seem to differ slightly, and we'll get into the humble beginnings of his business career in just a little bit, and you can decide for yourself how humble, in fact, they were. Right now, though, let's continue on with the events of today in our segment, My Witness News. In no way, shape, or form fair, certainly not balanced. Guest read today by our former intern who has gone off into the world to do great things with his hip-hop podcast, Wake the Flock Up, Concept 714.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. What you told me off the air during the break, this guest that you might be getting on. Can I say, or do you not want to jinx it? Look, I understand. I haven't spoken. I haven't worn a Mets shirt until I didn't wear a Mets shirt until game day because of my superstition. So I 100% get it if you don't want me to say. But it's very exciting stuff.
I am an open book, but you know what? We could talk about it. I don't see why not. We've done everything.
Do I have to bleep it?
No. People are going to think I'm doing Kardashian or something then if you bleep it.
Now, I want people to understand.
Yes.
Concept 714 started Wake the Flock Up as a podcast out of your garage, right?
Correct.
You had almost no equipment. You had nothing. You just had a desire to contribute.
I know all about working in your garage. Yeah.
Yes. So one microphone, and it would pick up the entire room, and we would just sit around it. And we would all speak towards the mic.
Literally a wing and a prayer.
Exactly.
Like literally a wing and a prayer, and just a desire to make some sort of contribution to the art form known as hip hop.
Yes.
That's all Wake the Flock Up started as. Cut to now. You have a facility in which you do things. You're getting big names on your podcast on a regular basis. You have been inducted into, you're part of the Zulu Nation.
That's correct. Mighty Zulu Kings.
That's a huge thing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge thing in the world of hip-hop to be inducted into the Zulu Nation. Explain the Zulu Nation for just 1 second.
So, Mighty Zulu Kings is started off as the first B-boy chapter. Breakdancers chapter.
It's like a musical group then, is it?
Well, it's a hip-hop oriented kind of movement. So they started as the first official out of Boogie Down, in New York. Given it's blessed by the founder of Zulu Nation, Africa Bambaataa. So, people that know hip-hop know these names that I'm talking about.
Now, for people not familiar with the work of Africa Bambaataa, you know where people probably know this from? Renegades of Funk.
Yes.
That would be a good jumping off point. The dudes in Rage Against the Machine did a covers album where they paid tribute to the greats of hip-hop, and their song Renegades of Funk, which is now played, I don't know, at least 2-3 times a day on most rock radio stations around the country, is a cover of Africa Bambaato's song Renegades of Funk. And he is the guy that started the Zulu Nation, or it sprang from him. I don't know whether he officially, sort of said, I'm going to start this organization that's going to be about hip-hop and everything that it represents. But bottom line is, because of his tremendous contributions to the world of hip-hop, Concept 714 has been inducted into the mighty Zulu Nation, which is kind of an unheard of thing. Now, to cap it all off, and I want you to remember that this is a guy who started a podcast with one microphone in his garage with people just talking about rap music. He's been inducted into this organization. He has a whole setup. He has a website. He has sponsors to his show. It's cash positive. It's making money, and it's all based off of his dream to make a contribution back to hip-hop. And now we are looking at, well, he's had several people that I would consider to be legends of the underground hip-hop scene be part of his podcast. But when he told me that he was looking to get founding Wu-Tang member Raekwon the Chef on his show, I was just like, okay, everybody, stop the music, Funkhauser. That's a humongous deal.
Yes.
Like, that's a big, big deal. Raekwon the Chef. That's a big get. And I want everybody listening who thinks that maybe it's not possible to sort of like fulfill your dreams, reach your dreams. The people that think there's too many things in the way of them and doing what they truly want to do with their lives. I want them to look at the story of Concept 714, know that he didn't necessarily know how to get there or what he was doing. He had the most basic, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it at risk of insulting him, he had the most basic and meager beginnings for his broadcasting career. Yet here he is today on syndicated radio hanging out with us, and the only reason that was because I heard his stuff online. I was like, you're really good. You should come on the air with us and hang out. But not only that, more importantly, he's created this massive, hugely accepted, very, very popular and very, very successful hip-hop platform out of just knowing what he wanted to do and going after it. And if Concept 714 can do it, so can you. It's possible for all of us. You just have to have the diligence and the application and the presence of mind that Concept 714 has. And that's why I say over and over again on this show, it's not an elected official. It's not a politician. It's you. It's you that holds the reins. It's you that steers your ship. It's you that, whatever the hell other analogy you want to put to it, it says you're the person that decides where you go every single day. Concept 714 is living proof of that. So we salute you, Concept 714. Way to go.
And like an after-school special right now.
Yeah, we cannot wait. We cannot wait to hear what happens when Raekwon the Chef makes your show. Maybe they'll be this time out. Maybe you'll have to wait and get him another time, but I know you're going to get him.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's just, yes, follow your dreams. And it sounds very cliche to say, but it takes a lot of sacrifice and dedication. But once you get there, it becomes easy. The momentum that you've built up behind you carries you to your next spot. And it's like the momentum in my way would be, oh, you interview this person that hears it, and then the other person, then they start hitting you up for interviews like, yo, I'm going to be in LA soon. Can we make something happen? Blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And that's just from the momentum that you've built. Then, yes, no politician, no one can help you build your own momentum. No one's going to do that for you, and no one can do it for you.
Bernie Sanders doesn't have as part of his campaign platform, make Concept 714's hip-hop podcast, Wake the Flock Up, more successful. So, it's up to him to do it, and it's up to you.
He should. If he's serious about winning, he should.
If he wants those votes, he should.
Exactly.
We'll pick up with the news in just a second. I'm very sad to say that one of my favorite television shows of all time is going to end. Which one? But we'll discuss it shortly. Here's a hint. Super hot nerdy chick in it.
You could never touch a guitar again and make that horrible thing that you so laughably call music. That's not what the word music means. That's not how you use it. You gave it a shot. You tried your best. Your best just sucked without enough. So hang it up. Just give it up. It's time some.
iHeartRadio puts the spotlight on Green Day. After some time off, Green Day made a major comeback with 2004's rock opera American Idiot. The album sold over 6 million copies and was adapted into a Broadway musical. Their next studio album, 2009's 21st Century Breakdown, was also a rock opera and hit number 1 in the US, Europe, and the UK, making it Green Day's best charting album. At the end of 2012, Green Day released a trilogy of albums, Uno, Dos, and Tre, marking the official addition of Jason White to the band after touring with them since 1999. However, the third album's release was delayed due to Armstrong entering rehab for alcohol and prescription medication. When Armstrong completed rehab, the band toured throughout 2013 to support the 3 albums. They also released a compilation of demos from Uno, Dos, and Tre in 2014 under the title Demolicious. All things Green Day, info, music, and more are on iHeartRadio. Keyword Green Day.
iHeartRadio goes one-on-one with Mike Rutherford to talk about why he felt the documentary Genesis, Some of the Parts, was worthy of production.
People forget from that one band, school band, you had the Gabriel career, the Collins, the Mechanics career, and then you put songs together. This is the key. You see a list of songs and you kind of go, In the Air Tonight, Invisible Touch, Living Years, Biko, and you kind of go, that's a great combination of songwriting. And so in a way, this documentary tries to sort of cement that a little bit. Because I meet people still these days who say to me, you mean you're the Mike and the Mechanics? They don't tie it in all the time. So in a way, this documentary, I think, helps do that.
Keep listening to iHeartRadio for more Mike Rutherford and all your favorite artists.
Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. Real radio. 104.1.
Now, someone who everybody wants to punch in the face. AD on the radio.
Alrighty then, Concept 714. Let's roll through what remains of the news, and then you and I will talk about Donald Trump's humble beginnings.
Let's do it.
According to him, they were humble.
Humble.
Also, I don't know if we want to talk about it today on the show or the video that's been floating around the interwebs.
Yes.
The video that's been floating around the interwebs. Officer Ben Fields, yes or no? Does he need to be arrested for the incident with a high school student? Now, everybody's probably seen the video at this stage in the game. There's an officer that forcibly removes a student from their seat in a high school classroom. Female student from their seat in a high school classroom. So, now, the interwebs has more or less exploded with opinions on this. And, well, I posted the video, on Twitter a little while ago, and I asked the question, yes or no, does Officer Ben Fields need to be arrested for this incident with a high school student?
At the minimum, fired, right?
Well, I mean, I want to hold off on this and maybe collect a few more opinions. And here's the thing. If we run out of time today on the show, we won't do it because it's something that you just can't rush through. We'll get to it at some stage in the game. Hopefully it's while Concept 714 is here because he has great insight on this sort of thing. Because when he's not being the host of the #1 podcast in the world, he's a little cloak and dagger himself. Concept 714 is a private investigator. Like, how cool is that, Funkhauser? If you and I had second jobs, it would be like lawn mowing or another radio station or just like doing
he always
stupid
seems
stuff.
to know where we are all the time.
Yeah,
I do
know.
use it to my advantage.
Weird.
I will tell you that. Borderline stalking, but
no, it was interesting when he called me the other day. He was like, "Hey, how is that venti flat white with 3 Splendas at Starbucks on a corner of?" I was just like, "Hold on a second, hold up just a moment, Tito."
I texted him, "You look terrible in that shirt."
Yeah,
and he's like, "What?
What? Yeah."
You look great in all your shirts, AD. It's a joke. I'm kidding.
Everybody looks terrible in a Padres shirt right about now.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so maybe we'll get to that, but when we do get to that, it'll be at a time where we can devote the proper amount of attention to it. But right now, we're collecting opinions on Twitter. And you know what? It's 50-50. It's 50-50. Some people are saying, no, show the whole video for context. Some people are saying, yes, absolutely. And then you're right there in the middle. You're right there in the middle, Concept. You're saying, well, I don't know about fired, but definitely suspended. And I think he's currently suspended, isn't he?
Well, yes. Context is very important in a video, but this is, again, a high school female in her seat, sitting down, and he's obviously talking to her for about 30 seconds. Like, there's conversation happening. There's no threat. She's not swinging her arms. She's sitting down, and then he just grabs her and, like, body slams her to the floor. Like, it's obviously his anger got the best of him. Despite whatever she said, it didn't justify physical contact, I think.
Well, and then there's some people that are saying in a different video from a different angle, you can see the beginnings of a physical altercation where she takes a swipe at him. Now, I mean, here's the thing. Okay. I've had to deal with with females being up in my grill before. I've had to deal with drunk, unreasonable females at events where there was this one girl, because I wouldn't let her backstage at a concert, attacked me. And I was able to subdue her without really having to do anything other than defend myself. But I was able to control the situation without, certainly without inflicting any kind of bodily harm. I grabbed her arms. I was like, "You're gonna stop hitting me until security gets here," and that was pretty much it. And, I didn't want, I looked around. I was like, who can see this? Everyone aware? I was like, okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab her hands so she has to stop hitting me. And we're just going to wait. We're going to wait until someone can get rid of her. And I sort of like, as she was hitting me, I was looking around, explaining to people what I was going to do. I was like, "Is everybody on board with this?" Because you got to be extraordinarily careful. There I am at a radio station event, working for a company that is imminently suable because they're huge, and put in a position where I got to defend myself against someone who's trying to get backstage, and it's sort of my job to keep her not there. It was extraordinarily easy to subdue this female.
Right,
now,
right.
And
but I really want to see Flea.
And let's say this, AD. Not only are you like not the most attractive guy in the world, you're also not the most built guy in the world. You know what I'm saying? So, take that as you will.
Concept 714.
Shots fired.
Shots fired.
Hey, I'm just saying. Not only are you're not George Clooney, but you're also not.
Hold on. I gotta send a tweet. Wake the flock up. Sucks. Nobody should listen to it.
How dare you?
Concept 714 needs to do some sit-ups damn self.
Look at all the shrapnel everywhere.
Hey, this right here, this is all natural. I know you're not gonna believe me, but not one day at the gym.
This Sunday in this corner.
Some of us are just blessed. Some of us are just.
You know what kills me? Like, I'm if I may bemoan my own life at this time. At this time, I was a ripped, shredded super athlete ready for anything. Like, I was squatting sort of like, I think I was squatting like 500 pounds.
Whoa.
And I was like, see, I had this thing where the shrink was like, either I'm going to medicate you or you can commit to going to the gym. And I was like, I don't want to be medicated. And my shrink was like, I don't think you should be medicated either, because that could change your personality and you sort of pay the mortgage with your personality. Mm-hmm. So I went to the gym, not because I wanted to get buff or anything, but because, the shrink recommended it. But you start to, as you do that sort of thing, you start to hit goals and try and break those goals. Right. And I got to the point where I was kind of a gym rat, and I used to wear clothes to sort of cover it up, because you know what happens when you're kind of big and you walk into a bar where you're working? People want to arm wrestle you or fight you or go like, "Hey, you're bigger than I thought. I still think I could take you." It's like, it's not a conversation I want to deal with. But at that time, I was at my hugest, most buffness, and probably, in the eyes of some females, most attractive. And you know why I want to go online and tell everybody the Concepts podcast sucks now is because he points out the sad fall from grace. Ever since I clawed my way to middle management in corporate America, I haven't had time to go to the gym once. I'm miserable. I waddle and sweat everywhere. I'm just like I'm just a mess. And I'm not vain to the point where I go like, boy, I wish I had that six pack back because that was cool. I just go, look how far I've fallen. It is disgraceful. I've let myself down. I've let myself down, and I've let myself down not only physically, but also mentally. You want to know a challenge? You want to know a change that I have to affect in my life? And it's not even like I'm a big fat lard-ass, fat-filled, bacon-wrapped, bacon-eating fatty that waddles and sweats everywhere and spends most of my time on the beach being worried that I'm going to get harpooned after being mistaken for a beach whale. I'm not even there yet. But it's just how far I've fallen since the incident you've described. But anyways, my point being that in this incident that we were talking about, I was able to subdue this chick and deal with it in a way that didn't involve tossing her across the room. And look, the amount of force that the officer used, we don't have context. We don't have the story. We don't know what's warranted. Maybe he thought she had a weapon. Like, I am very big on not fully weighing in until we know all the facts. And in some cases, we're never going to know all the facts. But in this particular case, my sense is that the police officer absolutely lost his cool, because to use that kind of force on a student in a room full of to use that kind of force on a student in a room full of students where people, you know, everyone there has a cell phone, and you know all they do is upload stuff to World Star Hip Hop hoping that it gets viewed a million times. Like, you know that in that situation, you're not going to come out of it looking good if you blow your cool, which the guy did, and now he's in a world of trouble, in a world of controversy. And so I'm going to go out on a limb and just go minus several million for clear thinking on the part of the cop in that situation.
Absolutely.
Well, we didn't want to talk about it, but we did talk about it. So let's move on with the news.
Let's move on. Leonardo DiCaprio says he ate raw bison liver and he slept in an animal carcass for a movie shoot.
Yeah.
Jack, you smell like crap.
No, what is it? The Revenant? The Reverend?
Yes.
What's the...
It's coming up.
That's in... What's it called? The Revenant?
I believe so.
Hold on. Let's
Google it.
To Google. Yeah.
What is this movie about?
Liver.
What did he have to
saw
hide
a preview
inside of an animal carcass for?
I saw a preview for it.
Yeah.
And it actually made me go, "Ooh, I think I might want to go see that."
Right.
Basically, The Revenant. Yep. The idea is he plays a frontiersman back in the day, and he gets attacked by a bear and left for dead.
Wow.
And so he's got to survive a cruel, harsh winter where he's been mauled by a bear. And then the rest of the movie, I think, is him going after the people that left him for dead. I think buried him while he was half alive and hunt them down and kill them. Yeah, it sounds kind of thrilling. So Leonardo DiCaprio was like, what can win me an Oscar? What can finally win me an Oscar? I know. I'll talk about how I ate raw bison liver and slept in a dead animal to get ready for a part. Apparently, so many people walked off the set of this movie because the conditions were just too extreme. Like, everyone was on the verge of hypothermia at all times. People were in and out of frozen lakes. It was a big, big thing, and it was a big, cumbersome thing. And the movie had been kicking around for a while, and they couldn't get it made because no star wanted to play the part, because they're like, this involves doing disgusting, awful things. But Leonardo DiCaprio just went for it. He ate raw bison liver and slept in animal carcasses for a movie shoot. Interestingly enough, so did Nick Nolte, although not for a movie.
On his free time at home. And it wasn't...
Yeah.
And it was a
part
dog
of my ritual.
Wow. Hey, D, I think you're going to be sad when you hear this next one. Mythbusters is set to end after 14 seasons.
I think they're just playing with us. Let's see what they do if we tell them that they're...
They're making their own myth.
Let's experiment.
Right.
And I don't think she's been on the show since 2014, but Carrie Byron from Mythbusters is like the original hot, nerdy chick. And it's not just like, she's not the hot, nerdy chick.
Oh, this is the one
that we see.
About?
Oh, my gosh. The hot, nerdy chick has become like quite the thing.
Yes.
That's the new thing for cosplay and porn stars, and it's become this thing where every hot chick is like, really, I'm just a big nerd. And there are exceptions to the rule, but most of them are fake. Like Allie Hayes, she genuinely is a big nerd. She plays video games. She's a nerdy individual. She is a legit hot nerd. When we've had her on the show, we've tested her nerdiness, but she is the exception rather than the rule. And Carrie Byron from Mythbusters was such an awesome role model, I thought, for chicks. Like, nice for me and Concept and Funkhauser to watch on TV because, like I said, hot. Especially when I think she was the first person to wear that R2-D2 dress. I was like, hold the phone.
Hello.
Oh. Bing bong, hello, bee-bobby boop. But like, honestly, like, she's the original hot, nerdy chick. And then I just love, Mythbusters closing after 14 seasons. It's a tough break for everyone who loves watching adult virgins fire watermelons out of makeshift catapults. And that includes me.
I am
sad
so
about
into this. Yeah, absolutely.
You think they'll come back with some, like a knockoff show? Hi, it's Marty and Steve with Fake Busters.
Fake Busters. You know what? I just realized when Concept 714 is here, the time just flies by because we don't have time to get into Donald Trump. We don't have time to get into anything. So real quick, before we absolutely run out of time, Concept 714.
Yes, sir.
Where and how can people listen to you and follow you and do all of the above?
Well, at Wake the Flock Up and Wake the
With
Flock.
a K.
Yeah, so Flock with no C. So waketheflockup.net. You're going to check us out our episodes, and at Wake the Flock Up, Instagram and Twitter, SoundCloud, iTunes, anywhere you can hear a show, you can hear Wake the Flock Up.
It's a fantastic interview show as well. Some of the best interviews that you're ever going to hear. Even if you're not familiar with the people he's interviewing, Concept makes it riveting stuff. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all over again.